Not necessary. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Please have a seat. I want to thank Jay for the wonderful introduction. I want to thank all the Kroger's employees and managers who are just being great hosts to us today. I was just telling Jay, this is the first time I've been in a grocery store in a while. They don't let me do my own shopping. But I miss it. So I may pick up some fruit on the way out. I just wanted you to know. There are a few other people I want to acknowledge. David Dillon, the Kroger CEO, is here. Where did Dave go? There he is over there. Vera Lewis, who's the UFCW shop steward at Bristol Kroger. Where's Vera? Hey, Vera. A few people that I want to acknowledge. Mayor Jim Rector is here. Give the mayor a big round of applause. Good to see you again, Mayor. A few folks who could not be here, but I want to give them some great acknowledgement. Your outstanding Governor Tim Kaine, your senators Mark Warner and Jim Webb, and I want to give a special shout out to my friend and your Congressman Rick Boucher. He couldn't be here today. Rick couldn't be here today. He's working hard in Washington as we speak, but he was an early supporter of my campaign. He's an important voice in our efforts to reform our health care system. He's a leader in guaranteeing that clean coal technology is a part of our clean energy future and is going to create jobs all across the country and right here in this area. So I just want you all to know I love Rick Boucher, so give him a big round of applause, even though he's not here. This is a town hall meeting, so I don't want to spend all my time talking up front. I want to listen to you and answer your questions. But I just want to give some brief remarks at the front end. It is wonderful to be back in Bristol, back in Virginia, a state that's been good to me. I don't know if you guys remember, I know the mayor probably remembers, this is the first town that I visited in the general election after I had won my party's nomination. So in my mind, at least, this is where change began. And that's why I've come back, to talk to you about how we're going to deliver on that promise of change. I don't want to, as I said, talk too long, because I do have to take some questions from you, and also Michelle's probably emailing me about grabbing some milk on the way home. Now, I don't know if any of you noticed it. Maybe they're selling Newsweek's by the checkout stand, but the latest cover of Newsweek says, quote, "The recession is over." I bet you found this news a little startling. I know I did, because obviously people are going through a tough time all across the country. What is true is that the economy has stopped going through the free fall that we saw at the beginning of the year. The market is up. The financial system is no longer on the verge of collapse. We got news yesterday that for the first time in 3 years, housing prices had actually gone up. When I took office, we were losing jobs at nearly double the rate that we're losing them now. So we may be seeing the beginning of the end of the recession. But as I said before, that's a little comfort to the folks who've lost their jobs and haven't found another one. Virginia's weathering this recession a little bit better than many of the other states. I would like to think that some of that has to do with the great leadership here in Virginia. But unemployment, even in Virginia, is now over 7%, and too many Virginia families are being crushed by health care premiums that have doubled over the past 9 years, something I want to talk about in a minute. So we know the tough times are not over, but we also know that without the steps that we took early on, 6 months ago, our troubled economy and the pain it's inflicting on Virginia families would be much worse. So let me just run through a few facts. When my administration came into office, we were facing the worst economy in our lifetime, worst economy since the Great Depression. We were losing an average of 700,000 jobs a month. It was nearly impossible to take out a home loan or a car loan or a student loan or loans for small businesses to make payroll and keep their doors open. And economists across the ideological spectrum, left, right, center, they all thought that it was possible we might tip into another Great Depression. At the time, there were some who thought that doing nothing was an option. I disagreed. I thought we had to act boldly and firmly. So we took steps to end the housing crisis and avert the collapse of our financial system. And less than 1 month after taking office, we enacted the most sweeping recovery package in history. And we did so without any of the earmarks, pork barrel projects that are usually accompanying these big bills. Now, there's a lot of misinformation out there about the recovery package, so I just want to get the record straight. To date, roughly a quarter of the recovery plan's funding has been committed. Over 30,000 projects have been approved, and thousands have been posted online as part of our effort to be transparent and accountable when it comes to economic recovery. The recovery plan is made up of 3 parts. The first part, about a third of the Recovery Act, is all about tax cuts for you and the customers here at Kroger. For Americans struggling to pay rising bills with shrinking wages, we kept a promise that I made during the campaign to put a middle-class tax cut in the pockets of 95% of working Americans. 95% of working Americans are getting a tax cut. It started about 3 months ago. You may not have noticed it because it's coming in your paycheck each time you get one, and it's spread out over the course of the year. And in addition, small businesses also receive tax cuts, so about a third of the stimulus package or recovery package was actually tax cuts to help folks pay their bills, whether it's shopping here at Kroger's or paying their electricity bill or being able to pay down some credit card bills that they already had, all of which helped to stimulate the economy and boost demand. That was about a third of it. Another third of the recovery package, or the stimulus bill, was to help people and states who had fallen on hard times because of the tremendous financial crisis. So for Americans who were laid off, and some of you probably know folks who were laid off, we expanded unemployment benefits. And that measure has already made a difference in the lives of 12 million Americans and about 150,000 folks right here in Virginia. 150,000 people have extended unemployment insurance. And we're making health insurance 65% cheaper for families who are relying on COBRA while they're looking for a job. Everybody know what COBRA is? Anybody ever been on COBRA or tried to access COBRA? This is a program that allows you to keep your health care premiums, pay them if you lose your job. But here's the only problem. If you've lost your job, a lot of times you can't afford your premiums. And so what we did was we said we'd pick up 65% of those premiums so that people, even if they lost their job, could still keep their health care. And we provided assistance to the states who were facing historic budget shortfalls, and that saved jobs and protected essential services. That meant you didn't have to lay off teachers, you didn't have to lay off police officers or firefighters. In Virginia, that meant 13,000 staff are still working in your children's schools that otherwise would have been laid off. More than 300 deputy sheriffs are still keeping your community safe. And state colleges and universities like Virginia Tech haven't had to raise tuition as much as they otherwise would have.